Starting off this countdown, we have the bodies. I mean, this one is a given. Most of the forbidden places in this world are labeled as so because they are dangerous. People that have trespassed have winded up dead. Snake Island is a good example. You all know about this island by now. It gets its name because it is covered in deadly snakes, including the golden lancehead viper, whose venom can melt human skin on contact. And if you're bit by them, you have a 3% survival rate. Urban legend goes that a fisherman ended up on shore. He was dead within minutes as the snakes took over his boat and ate him alive. Later, his bones were found in his dilapidated ship. But of course, Snake Island isn't the only forbidden place where trespassers' bodies were found. How about the story of the teens who tried to explore a secret cave? Unfortunately, all of them got trapped in this cave and drowned. Their bodies were later found when the area was drained. In our ninth spot, we have North Brother Island. If you're liking this video so far, then smash that like button. Also, it's Halloween here at the studio, so that's why I'm dressed as a farmer, cowgirl, cowboy? I don't know. Anyway, North Brother Island is a 20-acre island located in New York City's East River. This isolated island was nothing until there was a smallpox outbreak. So the government actually built a hospital on the island for the sick people to stay in quarantine. Then in 1943, the hospital was used for people with tuberculosis. Then in 1951, it was a rehabilitation center. But by the 60s, it was completely abandoned. All that's left now is the dilapidated buildings, which makes it forbidden to go to unless you have proper authorization. Anyways, there's a number of creepy things found on this island. One is the island's morgue. All the people who died were stored in this sketchy morgue. Where did the bodies go when the hospital was shut down? No one knows. The second creepy thing is that this island is filled with unmarked graves. Those that were buried were just shoved in shallow graves around the island. And of course, the island is said to be haunted, probably due to the fact that hundreds died there and didn't get a proper burial. In our 8th spot, we have Poveglia Island. This is another island plagued with a tragic past. During the Middle Ages, this island was used as a dumping ground for bodies consumed by the plague. In fact, so many people were dumped there that apparently 50% of the island soil consists of human remains. That's horrifying. No one should be growing anything there. Imagine getting a carrot growing out of... Anyway. But it doesn't stop there. In the 1920s, the island had a mental hospital, and the doctor there was not the best. In fact, he was corrupt, and he would experiment on the patients. Over the years, a number of people have bought the island, but soon after they sell it, because apparently it's so terribly haunted. It's said that the souls of the deceased haunt the island, so that's a no from me. In our 7th spot, we have Disney's Discovery Island. This is a failed Disney park attraction that now lays abandoned. So Discovery Island opened in 1974. It was located in the middle of Bay Lake by Disney World, so part of the attraction was taking a boat to get there. Once on the island, it was like a miniature zoo. They had lots of exotic birds and activities to do. But in the end, Disney employees were caught doing messed up things like shooting and killing the birds or just treating them badly. People got word of that and they got cancelled, and barely anyone would come. In 1999, they closed down and no one is allowed to trespass on this island. In fact, it's patrolled, so if you get within 50 feet of the shoreline, you'll be asked to go back, and if you don't, you'll be arrested. But a couple of sneaky urban explorers have successfully managed to get on this island and wander around. One of the more creepier things they found was an abandoned animal hospital and nursery. Inside the hospital is a cooler filled with old medicine and medical supplies. Not only that, a number of creepy dead carcasses have been spotted on the island, including this one. I mean, it would be cool to wander around there, but it does look eerie now that all the buildings are dilapidated and overrun by nature. Coming in at number 6, we have the Paris Catacombs. Anybody seen the movie As Above, So Below? Apparently this real story was inspiration for that movie. So if you do go to Paris, you can go on a guided tour of the catacombs, but you need to stay on the path. It's very easy to get lost down there. There are apparently 150 miles of tunnels laid out in a maze-like fashion. Well, guess what? Back in the 1990s, an old dusty camcorder was found in one of the out-of-bounds areas in the catacombs. They wondered how on earth it got there. Upon playing it, they found it was footage of an unidentified male explorer wandering around the catacombs. At first, he was fascinated by what he's exploring, but soon he realizes that he's lost and gets frantic. He begins running through the tunnel, sometimes checking behind him to see if anyone is following him. Sadly, we don't know if he ever made it out alive. His body could still be down there today, and the recording is the last few minutes of his life. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Wittenoom, Australia. Honestly, I really want to go to Australia. Despite the big snakes and insects, it looks like a very beautiful place to visit. Except one area that you should never go, and that is Wittenoom. It's considered one of Australia's deadliest towns, and that's because it's crawling with blue asbestos. In 1937, blue asbestos was discovered in the city's gorge. Years later, miners were unearthing tons of asbestos from the ground. It wasn't until 1978 that the government started pushing people out of their homes. They realized how deadly it was for them to be living there. It was increasing the risk for cancer, and in some cases, people were already developing lung cancer just by living there. It would cost them too much to eradicate all the asbestos from their town, so they decided to just abandon it. In fact, they removed the town from road signs and maps, so people don't know its existence and don't wander there. In fact, if you do somehow stumble upon the town, you'll find tons of huge warning signs advising you to turn back. In our 4th spot, we have the Edgewood Medical Center. Have you ever wanted to explore a creepy abandoned medical center? If you said yes, then why? Do you have a death wish? No, just don't do it. Anyways, the Edgewood Medical Center is the infamous hospital in which serial killer John Wayne Gacy was born. Also, it's a very popular site for urban explorers. No matter how many signs or barricades they put up, people will always find a way to get in. Urban explorers have reported finding a number of blood samples there. I mean, you think they would have properly disposed of this before shutting down the hospital since it is biohazardous. But not only that, the labels on the test tubes of blood were labeled with serious infectious diseases. Great. The explorer also found a bunch of patient files, test results, and x-rays. The hospital claimed that this was all destroyed, but clearly it wasn't. In our 3rd spot, we have the tomb of Yin Shi Huang, a very famous and mysterious tomb. Basically, back in 1974 China, a number of farmers were digging around when one of their shovels hit something hard. Upon unearthing it, they found that it was a life-size terracotta soldier. Archaeologists were sent into the site and they found an entire army of thousands of these soldiers. Apparently, there's like 8,000 of them. These were created back in the day to guard the resting spots of emperors. It's quite fascinating, but no one is allowed to go there anymore, not even scientists. Why? Well, they found that the tomb contains a high concentration of mercury, which is deadly. Not only that, but grand tombs like these were often highly guarded. So rumor has it that there are a number of deadly booby traps protecting this area. The first defense is sand. If you disrupt the tomb, the whole mausoleum will fill with sand and suffocate you. The second booby trap is hidden crossbows that will shoot out at you. Then there's also a trap door, and once you fall in, you can't get out. And of course, they have a river of mercury. This is like straight out of an Indiana Jones movie or something, I swear. In our 2nd spot, we have Pluto's Gate. Located in Turkey, Pluto's Gate is considered the gate to hell. Why? Well, any living thing that goes into this cavern is later found dead on the inside. No one ever comes back alive. It's believed that this is because the god Pluto guards the area and kills anyone himself. People have told stories about sending birds into the cavern, only for them to drop dead upon entry. Others have led bulls inside, and they also would not come out alive. To make things scarier, in 2013 residents unearthed 2 marble statues from the area. One was of the 3-headed watchdog Cerberus and the other was a snake. Both are mythological creatures that are symbols of the underworld. That makes this whole cavern that much more scarier. Maybe it is the way to hell, who knows? And in our number 1 spot today, we have Area 51. Area 51 has to be one of, if not the most mysterious place on this list. The government is hiding a number of secrets in there, including possibly aliens? Well, this is an apparent photo of aliens that Area 51 is keeping in their base. The photo was taken in the 1980s, and years later someone leaked it online. They claim it was taken inside of Area 51. Now, I don't know about you, but those surely look like aliens on an operating table. If this photo isn't from Area 51, then who the hell took it and why? Starting off this countdown, we have the abandoned building. Abandoned buildings are urban explorers' playgrounds, except you have to be extra careful. There's a reason why some of these buildings are abandoned to begin with, and over the years have been subjected to structural failure. In January of 2019, a 21-year-old man and his friends went to explore an abandoned building in Detroit. Entry into the building was banned. Obviously, it was abandoned. In fact, it was getting ready to be demolished. That night, the group of friends decided to play hide and seek. He got separated from his group of friends and they couldn't find him. They decided to come back the next morning and continue to look for him. That's when they found his body on the first floor. Police concluded that he fell through an elevator shaft and to his death. He fell all the way from the 9th floor. That is absolutely terrifying. But before I go any further, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up because it really helps us out and I appreciate it. Moving on to number 9, we have Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is an island in the central Indian Ocean, part of the British Indian Ocean Territory. In 1966, the people on the island were employees as contract farmers, working on coconut plantations. But in 1968 to 1973, the farm workers were kicked off the island by the UK government, so that the US/UK military could have a joint base on the island. Now, it is off limits to everyone except official personnel, and it's highly guarded and secretive. In fact, some believe it was used by the CIA to torture prisoners. But since it's so closed off to us, we will never know what truly went on over there. Moving on to number 8, we have North Brother Island. North Brother Island is a 20-acre island located in New York City's East River. The island was once home to Riverside Hospital, which was built to quarantine people with smallpox. Since the island was so isolated from others, they thought it was perfect to house the sick there. All those who died there were stored in the island's morgue. Then in 1943, they used the hospital to house people with tuberculosis. From 1951, it served as a rehabilitation center for drug addicts. But by the 60s, it was abandoned. Now that island stays that way and is off limits to the public. The island is very dangerous to visit because the buildings are rotted and deteriorating. Access is forbidden unless you have proper authorization. In our 7th spot, we have the sewer system. So in July of 2018, 2 boys in the Northamptons decided to explore their town, which is fine. But they decided to get into the town's sewer system and explore from down below. I don't know what drew them in, that must have been super stinky. Now, Northampton's sewer system is actually known to be quite complicated and referred to as caverns. So it's no shocker that they prohibit people from entering. And also not a shocker that this pair got lost down there. After being lost for several hours, they were rescued. Thankfully, the rescue team was able to locate their whereabouts and help them get out of the tunnels. Bad news is, they didn't smell the greatest after all this happened. Moving on to number 6, we have Edgewater Medical Center. This abandoned medical center in Chicago is a very popular spot to urban explorers. In fact, little fun fact, this is the place that both Hillary Clinton and serial killer John Wayne Gacy were born. Now, securing the building has always been a problem. No matter how many signs or barricades they put up, people will always find a way to get in. In fact, now they have security guards monitoring the area to prevent people from trespassing. But still, this doesn't ward off the curious-minded. One person that entered this banned location is urban explorer Mike Kinsk. He said he found blood samples, some labeled with serious infectious diseases. He also found several boxes of death records dating back to the 90s. There is apparently also personnel files, test results, x-rays, and more still inside the hospital. In fact, these files were said to be destroyed, but clearly they weren't. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with DULCE base. This one is the definition of creepy, just get ready for it. So the small town of Dulce in New Mexico is said to have a secret underground facility where they do a number of wacky experiments. The first claim of this base was back in the 1930s. From there, the rumors began to skyrocket. Now it's believed that there is a 7-story compound beneath the city, and that's where there are human-animal hybrids and human-alien hybrids. Yeah, it's crazy. This base has very tight security and is regarded as one of the top forbidden places in the world. In our 4th spot, we have Centralia. Ah, yes, this place is making its way back on another one of my lists. Centralia is an abandoned town located in Pennsylvania. It was once a populated town. However, a lot of residents were forced to leave due to unsafe living conditions. This all started after a coal fire ignited underground. This fire has been burning for almost 50 years, and it's predicted to continue for another 200 years. As a result of this fire, tons of sinkholes have formed, and hot smoke is released underground, and carbon monoxide has filled some of the residents' basements. In some parts of the town that are affected, it is said that the ground beneath them has reached up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit, 400 degrees Celsius. But even that won't deter some people. In fact, 7 residents still live there. They refuse to move out of their home. But the US government has done their job to try and erase this city. They took away any signs directing people to this town, removed the town's zip code, and forced most of the residents out. But people still go there to explore, which isn't the best idea. In our third spot, we have Gilman, Colorado. Located in southeastern Eagle County, Gilman was a beautiful town located on the edge of a cliff. But that wasn't the reason why this town was considered dangerous. Around 1984, the Environmental Protection Agency discovered hazardous levels of arsenic, cadmium, copper, lead, and zinc in the soil, surface, and groundwater of this area. It was so toxic that they demanded a full evacuation of this town. Now if you visit the area, you will see tons of signs warning trespassers. The signs say things like hidden and visible dangers and risk of injury or death. So don't go there. In our second spot, we have the Doomsday Vault. I did not know this was a thing, but there is a Doomsday Vault located in Norway. This vault contains 309 samples of seeds from all over the world. So just in case of a huge disaster, people can get to this vault and still be able to rebuild society and, make food. These seeds are highly protected. Only a few people have access to this building. And they are only allowed to go inside on days when they are accepting new seeds. So don't mess around with this vault, okay? It's humanity's lifeline. And in our number 1 spot, we have Bangalore Fort, India. This next place is said to be the most haunted place in India. Back in the 17th century, it was once a thriving town, home to 10,000 people. But rumor has it, all residents deserted their homes overnight. Why? Because it's haunted. Duh. So there are 2 legends surrounding this place. Number 1, there was a man named Madho Singh, and he was given permission to build this fort by the king under one condition. The fort never cast a shadow over his house. He said if this happened, then the city will perish. So this guy obeyed his command and made sure the fort never did. But Singh's successor ignored this and built the walls up higher. This cast a shadow over his house. And that's when the king's curse started. The second legend surrounds a princess named Ratnavati. Now, a man named Tantrik Singha fell in love with her beauty, but she kept refusing his love and advances over and over again. What she didn't know was that he was a magician of the dark arts. So he used a love potion on her by putting it in her perfume. But the princess wasn't dumb. She figured this out and then poured the potion over a huge boulder. This made the dude furious and he placed a curse on the town. And now it's still believed to be cursed/haunted. In fact, entry is banned for all foreigners. You need a special permit to get entry into this fort. And in no means can you ever be there before sunrise and after sunset. According to locals, 3 men decided to stay there after sundown. And things went south. One of the 3 guys fell into a deep well. Thankfully, he was rescued, but on their way to the hospital, all 3 of them got crushed in a freaky road accident and they died. Could this be the fort's curse?
Kicking off the list at number 10, Snake Island. Well, this island already sounds awful. What's going on here? Snake Island is located 95 miles off the coast of Sao Paulo, Brazil. Is that just a name of an island or do a bunch of snakes live here? Well, sorry to tell you, both. What happened originally was thousands of years ago, the part of the land that once connected the island to mainland disappeared. The ocean rose up before any of these snakes had time to pack their snake bags, and they were stuck on this island forever. These snakes were stuck on the island decade after decade, so now these stuck snakes are just gonna, mate and have more snakes. Now the island's full of snakes. The number of snakes is going up. Higher and higher, it's never stopping. One of the deadliest snakes in the world, the golden lancehead viper, yeah, there's over 4,000 of them on this island. It's horrible. Back from 1902 to the early 1920s, a few brave souls lived there and operated the lighthouse. But according to some local myths, the last lighthouse keeper was swarmed by snakes after he left a window open. Worst thing I've ever heard. Let's move on. Number 9. SURTSEY Island. While some islands ban humans, others ban humans and seeds. Yeah, no seeds allowed on SURTSEY Island. Leave the work snackies behind, my friend. SURTSEY Island is an important one on our list here today, as this island was born in 1963. We got a brand new baby island. This new island emerged from the sea 20 miles off the coast of Iceland, and it took around 4 years for Mother Nature to complete this little passion project. An undersea volcano formed this island over the course of 4 years. Just slowly, just making a new island. That's a long, hot process, so now what? What do you do with a brand new island? Sandals Resort? Disney parks? No and nope. Nobody is allowed on this island. The whole idea of SURTSEY Island, which I love, is that scientists are trying to study how ecosystems can form themselves without the involvement of us humans. Scientists around the world have all gathered around to do nothing about this island. They're just gonna watch. Only a select few can enter this island, and right before they clock in, they're checked head to toe to make sure they don't have any seeds. 0 seeds. Why? Oh, because scientists found a tomato growing and they were scratching their heads. Where did this come from? How, out of nowhere, how could it be? They were stumped until they found out somebody went number 2 in that same spot long before. Yeah, welcome to SURTSEY Island. Hold it. Better not take a shit here or you're fired, buddy. Number 8. North Sentinel Island. Heading over to India, this island is the home of the Sentinelese tribe, one of the most forbidden islands on the world. We're talking about it, let's do it. Located in the Bay of Bengal, North Sentinel Island is about 1,200 kilometers away from India, and while most islands are shrinking, this one is actually growing. It grew back in 2004 phenomenally. Back in 2004, the island lifted up a couple of meters during an earthquake, so the west and south sides gained an extra kilometer. The inhabitants on North Sentinel Island are among the few uncontacted tribes left in the world. You've probably heard about them or seen the thumbnail at some point. They have apparently been around for thousands of years, but there's no sign of agriculture or even fire. Yet still, this tribe has somehow continued to thrive. If we try and get close, they will attack us. After the 2004 tsunami, the Indian Coast Guard flew over to check on the island, make sure everyone's okay, but once they flew too close, the tribe attacked with arrows. So they could not land, obviously, but what if you arrived by boat? What would happen? Well, also bad. Back in 2006, 2 fishermen lost their lives because they got too close to the island without knowing who was on it. The Sentinelese have lived here for around 60,000 years, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Number 7, NIIHAU Island. Located in Hawaii, NIIHAU Island is quite small, and its population as well is pretty minimal, but why? Where is everyone? This is a beautiful island. Why wouldn't you want to live here? Why do only 170 people live on arguably one of the most beautiful islands in the world? NIIHAU Island has also been referred to as the Forbidden Island, hence why we're including it on our list here today. It was bought back in 1864 by Elizabeth Sinclair, and it's been privately owned since then. So no one knows what's going on, hence the small population. The thing is though, in 1952, the polio epidemic hit the islands and a ban was then put in place permanently. You couldn't leave or enter the island. That's it. Locked down to the extreme. Like an island lockdown, that'd be so scary. Nobody got sick, but now if you want to enter the island, you need to gain special access, which is a lot harder than it may seem. Absolutely no tourists or outsiders allowed. Period. It was sold by Hawaii's king Kamehameha back in 1863 to the Robinson family, but as of 1915, no outsiders again are still allowed in. Some island cult behavior is going on here, I don't know. Whoever lives here does so without plumbing, telephone lines, or Netflix. Impressive. Even today, the island is of course off bounds. The Coast Guard is always patrolling the island too as well. What do you think lies on NIIHAU Island? Top secret government stuff? Probably. Number 6, Heard Island. Have you heard about this island? Heard Island? No? Well, listen up. Right in the middle of Antarctica in Australia, there is this island, Heard Island. The Australian government has made it illegal for anybody to visit it, so if you have some free time and a kayak and some suntan lotion, don't even think about it. Go the other way. You won't make it. So why is this island forbidden? Is this one full of deadly snakes? Maybe, honestly. The myth here surrounding Heard Island is that there's animals we don't even know exist living here. We got some secret hybrid animals. This sounds a lot like Jurassic Park so far. The island itself is quite unique geographically. See, Heard Island is home to 2 volcanoes as well as the tallest mountain in Australia. So there's plenty of space for hybrid animals to hide and be scary. I love the idea of animals getting their own island, honestly. We have enough, I'd say. Time to give 1 or 2 back. Except for Snake Island. That one, we don't want that one. You can keep that one for sure. Number 5, North Brother Island. Located right between Rikers Island and the Bronx, quietly tucked away on the East River, North Brother Island was once home to a hospital back in the 19th century. You may be thinking, a hospital on an island? How inconvenient is this? What's going on? Riverside Hospital was available for patients suffering from yellow fever, smallpox, or tuberculosis. So it was a quarantine zone, essentially. The hospital has since been abandoned. It's now sitting there literally falling to pieces. And the island has been quite active, oddly. A body was found near the island recently. A steamship called the General Slocum crashed on the island. There's also a haunted lighthouse on this island. And they even have what's referred to as Coffin Corner on this island. Yeah, Coffin Corner. I'm all set. I'd rather explore the Bronx than explore this island, honestly. Number 4, Robins Island. Okay, we have a forbidden island and it's not cursed. We have a nice one, dare I say. Here we go. The privately owned Robinson Island is massive and beautiful. It's not made of lava or snakes, it's just sand and trees. Just a good time. And best of all, no humans at all. The 435-acre island sits off the coast of New Suffolk, New York. Many names have come and go when it comes to island ownership here, but as of right now, it's forbidden and it's a nature preserve. I'm okay with that. We can stay away from that one. The owner now is a man named Louis Bacon. He has poured time and money into building the sanctuary, and he fears that if anybody else gets involved, the whole thing will just fail. Honestly, considering our number 1 spot, he's got a point. Aside from that side quest that Mr. Bacon's pulling off, Robins Island is also home to the largest population of turtles in the state. So don't worry, he's not completely alone. He's got a bunch of turtles. Number 3, Diego Garcia Island. An island with an airport. Okay, there's gotta be something good here, right? Located in the Indian Ocean, Diego Garcia is perhaps one of the most bizarre on this list. Definitely interesting. The island was once a part of the United Kingdom, but in order to settle up a debt in the millions, the UK had to hand it over to the United States. Gee, I wonder what they did with it. Is it a turtle sanctuary? Is it a Forbidden Seed Island Part 2, perhaps? What's the game plan here? What are we doing? Well, today Diego Garcia is a top secret military base. Hence the airport. Although it's forbidden to enter, there's over 600 buildings resting on this island, as well as thousands of military personnel, but again, nobody knows what the island is really hiding, or what it's being used for. Maybe this is where they're keeping the Winter Soldier. Could be. He could punch through anyone. He could punch 6,000 people easily. Number 2, Poveglia Island. The small island of Poveglia has taken many lives. When the bubonic plague arrived in 1348, the island then became a quarantine colony, just like our one earlier. So if you had symptoms, you were sent to this island to... yeah, it was a sad reality, not a lot of solutions back then. Again, in 1630, the Black Death crept in, and once again the center of this island became a mass graveyard. All bad so far. The soil, they say, is 50% human remains at this point. So if you're looking to plant some haunted sunflowers, there you go. There's your soil, weirdo. Today the island is abandoned, rightfully so. It's closed off to both tourists and locals. Hey, now that things are opening up again, what do you say we head to Poveglia Island? Check out some bubonic plague history. No? We're good? Alright, cool. We'll go to Niagara Falls. If its dark history doesn't scare you away, the ghost stories surrounding the island might. In the early 20th century, mentally ill patients were sent to this island, but the doctor that was responsible for curing them for all these treatments, he would actually try these bizarre, insane methods. Cruel methods, really. And the doctor himself ended up going mad, and he ended up jumping to his death from the bell tower. The bell tower no longer stands, but the soil is still 50% remains, so either way, ghosts or history, that's a no from me. I would rather go to... Number 1, Garbage Island. We must finish with this one, the largest island of them all. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Smells good. Smells like the ocean and all the garbage we've thrown into it. It's located in the North Pacific subtropical gyre. There's basically 4 of these large systems just swirling ocean currents, and some of them are chock full of garbage. Pretty disturbing, right? I've heard of the garbage patch before, but I had no idea how large it really was. This trash island is 3 times the size of France. And if that's not big enough for you, it's twice the size of Texas. Someone's like, oh, now I get it. This island is man-made, obviously, and it continues to grow. But it's not all grim, however, for our number 1 spot. There is a team working on reducing that size. The environmental nonprofit Ocean Cleanup has removed around 65,000 pounds of trash. So maybe next time you see this, there'll be only 9 islands. We're hoping.
Starting off this countdown, we have Umoja Village. Located in Kenya, this village was founded in 1990 by a woman named Rebecca Lolosoli. It was created as a safe haven for homeless women, women trying to escape forced marriages, or survivors of violence, etc. The idea came to her while she was in the hospital after being attacked by a group of men. This village is barred off by a fence of thorns to try and prevent men from entering. There are around 27 women and 200 children living at this village. The women that live there still work so they can afford clothes, food, and their shelter. On top of that, their village is open to female tourists with hope that they will come in and buy some of their jewelry. They also charge a fee for anyone that wants to come in. And at number 9 we have University Women's Club. And guys, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because you know what? It really helps us out, so thank you. This is a female-only club that was founded in 1888 London. It was a space for women to come to just relax and unwind, not having to worry about their household duties or whatever. It was also a professional space where business meetings would take place. This club also offered 22 bedrooms so that you could stay if need be, and 2 big event rooms should you ever need to rent them out for private parties or whatever. This place was open for all women of all ages. Just no men. Moving on to number 8 we have the International Club of Paris. The Women's International Club of Paris, or Le WIC de Paris, was a club open to any and all women. Its goal is to get women of all different nationalities living in or around Paris to join this club and share their culture with others in the group. The group does things such as film screenings, book clubs, and would do activities like gymnastics and learn other languages. This club is pretty big. They have 252 members from 52 different countries. Again, there's no men allowed in this club. It's strictly women coming together to learn more about each other and form connections. They also say that the space is non-political and non-religious. They just want everyone to get together as one. Moving on to number 7, we have Noiva de Cordeiro. This is a remote Brazilian village that is home to 600 women. Now, this village is interesting for a number of reasons. Number 1, most of the women living there are 20 to 35 years old, like that's pretty young. On top of that, they are known to be all stunningly beautiful. Now, this village is a bit different than the other places on this list. Men are allowed to visit, but typically they don't live there. But the only time they can visit is on the weekends. They're forced to work away from home, and that's the only time that they have to visit. But most of the women that live there run the show. They work in the field and manage all the village's finances. They're like the bosses. Coming in at number 6 we have New Woman Space. Founded by Wong and Sandra Hong, New Woman Space, located in Brooklyn, is a place where women can come together as one. It's located in Williamsburg and is specifically for entrepreneurs or those looking to collaborate with other women. At this location they have book club meetings and yoga classes. The founder Wong says, and I quote, "Our location means there is no shortage of women submitting new ideas for classes and workshops, who want to host events in every realm you can think of, and those who have found comfort and strength in knowing there is a community space for them." We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the female-only parties. This next city, located in Colombia, is famous for having a men's curfew night. Basically, after a certain time at night, men are banned from leaving their homes. Literally banned. Like, you could be fined for breaking this rule. Meanwhile, the women are free to roam the streets. On these nights, there are women-only concerts, film shows, and parties. Fire and police stations are taken over by female-only crews. It's a time for women to just, let loose and have fun. According to the mayor who created this idea, he said these female-only nights will reclaim public space for the women of Bogota and help men to get to know their homes. Moving on at number 4, we have the sorority. And no, I'm not talking about like a college or university sorority here. The sorority is a club only for women. It's described as an online network for professional women who want to collaborate and inspire others. Most of the meetings take place online. But if you live in London, some members meet regularly at different venues in London. Apparently, there are a couple members of royalty in this club. Now, if you are a female and this interests you and maybe you want to join the club, too bad, too sad. You can only get in by invitation only, so it's a pretty secretive club. On top of that, you have to fill out their pledge, which seems a little culty to me. But anyway, it seems like they want only the elite of the elite to be a part of this club. In our 3rd spot, we have the Secret Society. Back back in the 1840s, women were caught for having a number of different secret societies in New York. These societies were legit top secret. They didn't want men finding out about them at all. But this plan failed. In 1847, 4 of these secret societies were caught. Back then, it was a pretty big deal. Now, there's not much out there on these societies, like what went down, since it was so long ago. But apparently the government tried to break them up if they heard about them. When 4 clubs got exposed, they realized just how big they were. One society had 2,000 members. Like, that's insane. But yeah, with the amount of members, word was bound to get out sooner or later. In our second spot, we have Woman's Land. Now, this community spells its name Woman's, as in WOMYNS, instead of MANS, because they literally want nothing to do with men. No man in the name, no man ever allowed in the community. Now, this community was fairly large. It started as a social movement in the 1970s in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Western Europe. Basically, it was a group of women that wanted to escape the patriarchal society. So they decided to make their own community. Many of them still exist today. Back then, these women lived in the woods on private land. And honestly, a lot of people didn't know they existed. Some were meant specifically for women that identified as lesbian, others were for women traveling across countries alone and needed a safe place to stay. Nowadays, there are still a few of these communities left. These women live in small cabins or shacks. The only issue is that these women are getting older and need a new generation of younger women to come and keep these communities alive. But not a lot of younger women are interested in this. And in our number 1 spot, we have SUPERSHE Island. Located off the coast of the Baltic Sea, the SUPERSHE Island is a secret vacation destination for only women. It's owned by a woman named Christina Roth. She first discovered this island while on vacation in Finland. From there, she purchased it and spent months doing massive renovations. Now the island has 4 renovated cabins that can hold up to 10 women. The whole purpose of this island is to look after the wellness of the female mind, bodies, and souls. While on the island, you can partake in a number of activities including yoga, meditation, kayaking, and hiking. Now, don't be fooled. It's not like you can just book a trip there and you're all set. No, you actually need to fill out an application. On the form, you have to write to Christina why you want to go to the island. And she is specifically looking for people that aren't just writing BS, but like actually truly want to go to the island to better themselves.